months on my business. My profit margins have shrunk to nearly nothing. My retentions for any jobs that I have, I'm one of the lucky contractors still surviving. And it's only because I built long-term relationships that I'm actually still surviving. But it's so painful that I have 9 people living in my house right now. My husband, myself, my daughter, my son-in-law, my 3 grandchildren, my youngest son, and my mother. So my mother works for me in my company. She now works for me for nothing so that we can continue paying our employees. She has a roof over her head, and that is the pay that she's getting. My son-in-law works at Scottsdale Honda, and because people are doing things, they aren't getting their cars repaired now, and so his hours have been cut. And so he ends up just sitting there at work waiting for, he's paid contract labor. And so he has to sit there and be available for whatever hours might come in. But we're doing what so many families are doing right now, which is coming together, really looking at every possible way that we can cut. We look at the electric bill, we look at the water usage, we look at every place, and that was what I wanted Washington to do. I flew back to Washington a year ago last March because I wanted them to do what my business had to do. I wanted them to take a pay cut. I wanted them to hear my pain and my anguish for my family and my business, and I want our congresspeople to lead by example. I want them to understand, we talk about entitlements, Social Security and Medicare. Well, there's a different kind of entitlement going on in Washington, and it comes from our elected officials who think they're entitled to lifelong benefits after they've been there. I want them to earn that like I had to in my business. You know, they get paid well enough. Invest, make their own retirement, don't suck the life out of us. So there are so many things that can be looked at back in Washington, and it all has to be analyzed, and it begins with the congresspeople that are elected back there and leading by example so that they're not asking us to do all the work, they're showing us how to do it, and we desperately need that. Yes, they will if we put the right people in office.
Well, that's the point, is we need a new Congress. I appreciate that point. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, as you listen to that and you hear the voice of reality that you don't hear on the mainstream press very much, we've been here before. I lived long enough myself to remember 1982, 83. We had the same unemployment rate. We had the same fallout from the Carter years. We had the terrible dependence on foreign oil, the lines of gas, around the corner to get gas. All the rest of that stuff that Reagan inherited. And then what did he do? He did exactly the opposite of what Obama's doing. Cut the government, cut the taxes, let the oil industry go and find the oil and gas we needed. Do you know that oil, a barrel of oil in 1986, after a couple of years of this process, cost $10. 1986, a barrel of oil was $10. The rate of income tax by 1988 was 28%, the top rate. And there were only 2 rates. And all the loopholes and deductions and all that stuff were kind of gone. And you know what you paid. Reagan had it down to 18% of GDP and a nearly balanced budget. If it wasn't for the buildup of the military to win the Cold War, it would have been more than balanced. But that is, in other words, ladies and gentlemen, we have been here before. We know what to do. Unleash people and their creativity and innovation. Lower the taxes, give them back more money that they've earned, and just stand back. Because this economy will explode like it did before. It's happened many, many times. And yet we're at this crossroads. And Tom, this is the crossroads. This is the devil. This is Robert Johnson. We're going down, the devil's down at the crossroads here. And the pact of the devil is, you know this old blues song, right? The pact of the devil is, if you just raise the taxes a little bit more to help balance that budget, we'll give you spending cuts. How many times have we heard that? Remember George H.W. Bush getting caught in this in 1991, 1990? Where he said, no new taxes. Well, maybe just a little bit of taxes, and then we'll get a package deal. And we'll be able to balance the budget, and it'll be cool. And you know we got those tax increases, and we never got those cuts. You know we did. It's like Charlie Brown, right? You know, Lucy's holding the ball, and you're coming along, and no, she's going to hold it this time. I know she is. And, of course, the ball goes away, and you're flat on your can. And that's where we are as Americans. I'm not going to be fooled again. No more deals. No more balance, no more comments, no more can't we all get along. No, we can't. You're too big, you're too intrusive, you're too crazy, you're too incompetent. Get out of the way and lower the costs and take some cuts back there. Boy, you go to Washington, it's the lowest unemployment rate in the country. And the highest per capita average income in the country now used to be, you know what it was in 1948? Detroit. Detroit in 1948 had the highest per capita average income in the country. The best jobs in the country. Now it's Washington, D.C. You think that's progress? I don't.
Hi, my name is Chuck McCracken. I'm a small business owner like you and shrunk down like you. Just as an example of government waste, I do flooring in operations like this. I did a call center for the state government, and I was amazed that I had to move so much furniture, and I started asking, what is the use of all this furniture? And they had all these cubby holes, modular furniture for their employees to come in to make these phone calls and receive phone calls, some sort of a special 800 number used for the state for children problems. And every shift had its own cubby hole. So they had a desk, phone, a computer, I mean everything you needed. And the next shift had a whole nother set. And the third shift had a whole nother set. Now, if this was subcontracted with normal folks like us, you'd have one desk and it would be used 3 times. So in essence, they spent 3 times as much money and probably more employees than what they needed because they were very inefficient. And then they had all these other supervisors who had their own separate rooms to be in, even though there were 3 different shifts of them. You know, so there's a tremendous amount of government waste. Now, we know that. So I propose that we start investigating. We should investigate these situations, expose them to the public. Now, I also know that our public, maybe half of them are registered to vote. So many of them don't care. Now, you guys care. You're here. And you're going to be active in your neighborhoods and with your friends. You're going to make sure people vote. But so many people down our streets are not even registered. We need to take action. Action means getting votes. Votes means electing the people that we want to do the things that are necessary to investigate and to cut these things. We need to starve the beast because, Roger, we've seen it so many times. Reagan, he had all these liberal agreements. You spend $1 and we'll cut 2. They never cut. So starve the beast. Let's elect our people, but you've got to go down and get voters registered and get them out to vote.
He's getting excited back there, I'll tell you. All right, now, you mentioned